Welcome back to Worth Coin, your trusted source for everything coins. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of Jefferson nickels, uncovering the top 3 most valuable coins in the series, with full historical background and what makes them so special. Let's get started. First up, the Jefferson nickel was first minted in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel after a 25-year run. The design was created by Felix Schlag, who won a competition held by the U.S. Mint. The obverse features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. On the reverse is Jefferson's home, Monticello, with the word Monticello prominently inscribed below the building. Now, let's focus on the 1940 issue. This coin was minted at 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint issued coins with no mint mark, while Denver coins bear a small D on the reverse to the right of Monticello, and San Francisco coins show an S in the same position. The total mintage for 1940 across all mints was over 259 million coins, making it relatively common in circulated condition. Specifically, Philadelphia struck approximately 176.5 million, Denver produced around 43.5 million, and San Francisco minted about 39.7 million. Even though the 1940 Jefferson nickel isn't rare in circulated grades, it becomes significantly more valuable in higher grades or with full steps designation. A full steps nickel refers to a coin where the steps on the front of Monticello are sharply struck and completely visible. This level of detail is often missing due to weak strikes or worn dies, so finding a 1940 nickel with full steps in uncirculated condition can command a premium. In terms of composition, the 1940 nickel is made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, with a weight of 5 grams and a diameter of 21.2 millimeters. It does not contain any silver. That came later in the wartime nickels from 1942 to 1945. Let's now talk about values. A typical 1940 Jefferson nickel in circulated condition is worth around 10 to 25 cents. However, coins in uncirculated condition, particularly in MS65 or higher, can range from $5 to $25, depending on the mint mark. If you have a full steps example, the value can jump significantly. For example, a 1940D Jefferson nickel with full steps in MS67 can fetch several $100s at auction. The 1940S full steps in high grades can be even rarer and more valuable, sometimes exceeding $1,000 for pristine examples. Now let's touch on errors. While not extremely common, there are a few error varieties known for the 1940 Jefferson nickel. Look out for double die obverses, repunched mint marks, and off-center strikes. These can increase a coin's value dramatically, especially when authenticated by grading services like PCGS or NGC. If you're interested in collecting Jefferson nickels, the 1940 issue is an excellent coin to add to your collection. It's affordable, historically significant, and offers opportunities for premium value in high grades or with striking errors. When building a set of early Jefferson nickels, always aim for coins with strong strikes and minimal wear, and be on the lookout for full steps. They make a huge difference in the collector market. Next up, the Jefferson nickel series has been in continuous production since 1938. Designed by Felix Schlag, it features Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his home, Monticello, on the reverse. The 1970 issue continued this classic design, but by this point, the U.S. Mint had already gone through several design refinements to improve die life and strike clarity. The portrait of Jefferson remains left-facing with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date, 1970, along the obverse rim. On the reverse, Monticello is centered with the inscriptions, "A pluribus unum," Monticello, 5 cents, and United States of America. The 1970 Jefferson nickel was struck at 2 mints, Philadelphia and Denver. Coins from Philadelphia have no mint mark, while coins from the Denver Mint feature a small D mint mark on the reverse to the right of Monticello. There were no nickels minted in San Francisco for circulation that year, although proof versions were made at the San Francisco Mint and carry an S mint mark. These proofs were included in official proof sets and were never intended for general circulation. Mintage numbers for 1970 were relatively high. The Philadelphia Mint struck approximately 515 million nickels, while the Denver Mint produced around 491 million. The San Francisco Mint produced roughly 2.6 million proof coins. These large mintage figures mean that the 1970 Jefferson nickel is common in circulated condition, but there are still opportunities to find value, especially in uncirculated grades or in coins with full steps designation. A full steps Jefferson. Nickel is a coin where the steps on Monticello are fully struck with at least 5 distinct, unbroken lines. These coins are highly sought after by collectors and often carry significant premiums. Unfortunately, due to worn dies and weak strikes, full steps examples of the 1970 nickel are not easy to find, especially from the Philadelphia Mint. Now let's talk about value. In average circulated condition, a 1970 Jefferson nickel from either mint is worth face value or possibly 10 to 25 cents to a casual collector. However, coins in mint state condition, especially MS-65 or higher, can range in value from $2 to $10. If you have a coin graded MS-66 with full steps, values can rise sharply. For example, a 1970 D with full steps in MS-66 can bring $75 to $150, while rare MS-67 examples can go for several $100s at auction. The 1970 no mint mark coin with full steps is harder to find and can also reach $500 or more in the highest grades. As for errors and varieties, the 1970 Jefferson nickel does have some minor errors that can be worth extra. These include off-center, strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and occasionally repunched mint marks on the Denver issues. While these errors are not extremely common, when certified by PCGS or NGC, they can add $25 to several $100s to the coin's value depending on the type and severity. Another interesting point for collectors is that 1970 was the final year before major changes in proof coin production. Starting in 1971, the U.S. Mint transitioned to a new type of strike for proofs, which improved detail. So the 1970 S-proof nickel represents the end of an era for traditional proof manufacturing. These coins have strong eye appeal, mirror-like fields, and frosted devices. A high-grade 1970 S-proof nickel, especially if it receives a deep cameo designation, can be worth $5 to $30 or more, depending on condition and grade. Next up, now let's focus on the year 1946. This date is especially interesting because it came right after the end of World War II. From 1942 to 1945, the U.S. Mint produced wartime nickels, nickels that contained 35% silver to conserve nickel for military use. These wartime coins are known for their large mint marks above the Monticello building on the reverse. But in 1946, the Mint returned to the original composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The large mint marks were also removed and the design went back to its pre-war format. In 1946, Jefferson nickels were minted at 3 locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, with a D mint mark; San Francisco, with an S mint mark. Here are the mintage numbers. Philadelphia, about 161 million coins; Denver, around 45.3 million; San Francisco, roughly 13.6 million so. Philadelphia minted the most coins by far, while the San Francisco Mint had the lowest output, making 1946 S the scarcer issue of the 3. In terms of design, the 1946 Jefferson nickel still features Jefferson's portrait facing left on the obverse, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1946. On the reverse is a detailed image of Monticello with "E pluribus unum" at the top and "United States of America" and 5 cents at the bottom. Now let's talk about value, focusing specifically on coins in fine condition. In numismatics, fine means a coin has moderate wear with most major details visible but lacking sharpness. It's a mid-level circulated grade, better than good or very good, but far from uncirculated. In fine condition, a 1946 Jefferson nickel is worth around 10 to 20 cents for Philadelphia and Denver coins, around 30 to 50 cents for the 1946 S, since it has a lower mintage and is slightly harder to find in circulation. These values are based on current collector demand and dealer price guides. Remember, the coin's value can be affected by toning, eye appeal, and market trends. If you find a 1946 Jefferson nickel in mint state condition, especially with strong luster or the full steps designation, meaning the steps on Monticello are clearly visible and sharply struck, the value can jump significantly. A 1946 S in MS66 with full steps can sell for several $100s at auction. Are there any errors or varieties worth noting for this year? Yes, though not extremely common, you can find some interesting pieces, such as repunched mint marks, RPMs, on 1946D or 1946S, coins die cracks, or lamination errors, off-center strikes. These types of errors can increase a coin's value by $10 to $100 or more, depending on the severity and demand. To summarize, the 1946 Jefferson nickel may not be the rarest coin out there, especially in circulated grades like fine, but it marks a key historical shift, the return to peacetime nickel alloy. It's a great coin to include in any Jefferson series collection. If you're searching through change or coin rolls, keep an eye out for the 1946S and any unusual errors.